For the INSEAD Highly Stressful Situation essay, I have covered two themes. One is the unresolved trauma, and second is the mental health crisis that you see in low-income families. The question, as you might know, is describe a highly stressful situation you faced and how you managed it. What did this experience teach you about yourself and your interactions with others? For the essay, the protagonist grew from poverty to the top 25th percentile income bracket by acing one of the most competitive exams in finance. Although the applicant got out of poverty, mental health crises linger in low-income families. Once the family moved to a wealthy neighborhood, the social circles changed and the applicant's brother joined a prestigious school. The deprioritization of survival goals opened a Pandora's box of unresolved trauma, culminating in a shocking event in the family. I wanted to capture the insecurity of a low-income applicant in the opening line. I used this line. When my teacher asked where I lived, I used to say near the name of the place, a cover to not let them know that I lived in a slum. So these kinds of opening line is a way to communicate your innermost insecurity. It also shares some information with the reader that you come from a low-income family without actually sharing a lot of detail. So that one single information piece, I lived in a slum, conveys that message. In the rest of the essays, I've never mentioned the living condition of the family. All stories of setbacks will have the introduction of a mentor, a heroic parent or father or mother figure, or a savior, coaches and teachers in many instances. For the essay, I wanted to highlight the sacrifice the mother made with the line, worrying that the chores would take time away from my learning. My mother took on the brunt of the workload. This was after the 8-hour shift in a textile factory. It's all strategic. I'm not sharing a lot of stories, just one line, 1.5 line about the mother. Two information I'm sharing, 8-hour shift in a textile factory so that the reader gets a sense of the kind of backbending work that the person was doing, and then taking on the chores of the family so that the applicant can get some time to learn. There's a strategy there on how you share information about the supporting characters, your mentors, parents, coaches. One way is to directly mention your mentors, parents, and coaches and use a very emotional sentence. Like, so I could have used my mother sacrificed everything for me. So that's a very powerful line. It's a very short, impactful line. But then the admissions person or the reader will expect more lines about your mother, right? So that's the expectations. You can't just end with an impactful line and then not mention the person. So then you need at least 1.5 lines about your mother, and the essays about the most stressful situation you have faced. It is very important that you use different sentence structures based on the kind of story that you are telling. The applicant's priority shifted from pursuing career goals to caring for the family when a tragedy hit the family. So I wanted to explicitly capture the feeling of guilt that the applicant was going through. What is the stress statement? So any question where the admissions person is asking for a very specific aspect of your life, about some aspect of your reaction or your emotion, it's always a good idea to reiterate the words or phrases used in the question. For example, here it's about highly stressful situation. So a best practice is to repeat the word stress. So I use the word stress here to convey very clearly that this is what the applicant was feeling. This is the line I used. The stress was unbelievable. I had insomnia and a deep sense of guilt that my success had taken all the attention away from the mental well-being of my family. I have used the adjective unbelievable and a manifestation of the stress, that is insomnia, to share the personal nature of the setback. We react to stress in different ways. Some people overeat, some people starve, some people lose sleep, some people's health get affected. Some people indulge in addiction like alcohol or other substance abuse. But I would not recommend sharing stories of addiction. Often, setbacks in the family are a trigger for an ambitious goal. I wanted to share the motivation behind a dedicated fund or an impact fund for tackling mental health crisis among low-income families. The essay was challenging because apart from the applicant, I am highlighting the applicant's mother, brother, and the entrepreneur who is leading the venture to tackle the mental health crisis among low-income households. The applicant is an impact investor, so he invests in the entrepreneur. So I had to manage 4 protagonists in one essay without taking the attention away from the applicant, who is the primary protagonist. So I've used multiple paragraph-based micro stories to create a coherent narrative. You'll notice that the transitions for this essay looks typical, but a lot of thought went into them to ensure that the flow is not affected when I introduce one protagonist. So I started with the mother, then I introduced the brother, then I introduced the entrepreneur. So it's a lot of protagonists. And in all introductions of other protagonists, the applicant's point of view is always the center of the narrative. The strategy is intentional to also turn the tone of the essay into a personal narrative. The applicant's responsible leadership and purpose, 2 traits that INSEAD MBA values, are also highlighted in the essay. If you want to read how I've written the INSEAD MBA Highly Stressful Situation essay, purchase FNG Math's INSEAD MBA essay guide from store.fngmat.com/INSEAD-MBA-essay-guide.